What's up, everybody? My name is Vincent. Welcome to Cryptolution, where we talk about everything under the moon in the crypto universe. Today is Monday, April 7th. In today's video, not only am I going to be talking about dog Bitcoin, but I'm also going to be talking about cryptocurrency and the S&P 500 / the stock market regarding their reaction to Donald Trump's reciprocal tariff announcements. Now, I want to share with you the truth of what's really going on, not just the ongoing negotiations between Asia, between Europe and the US, but also I want to share with you how right now is the best buying opportunity in your favorite assets, especially Bitcoin and dog for that matter. So I want to go ahead and debunk some things that have been kind of rumored to be circulating out there in crypto Twitter, but I also want to share with you data and analytics to share with you why Bitcoin still is on trajectory for setting a new all-time high, because whatever's happening around the world has not changed the fundamentals of Bitcoin, and whatever happens to Bitcoin is ultimately positively and negatively going to affect cryptocurrency, both meme coins and other sectors for that matter. So let's not waste any time, let's jump right into it. So smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, don't forget to join our X account, and please be careful with any of the scammers down in the comments below. I will never reach out via WhatsApp, Telegram, direct message, or email, so please be careful and invest safely. So guys, girls, let's get right into it. So dog Bitcoin has gone down roughly 6% over the past 24 hours. Not too long ago, this was at 130 million. Now it's close to around 120 million. Even got as close to around 900 million market cap, aka 980 million market cap. So it dipped pretty low. And why is that? Well, let's talk about Bitcoin for that matter. Bitcoin also took a dip. Bitcoin took a massive dip over the past 7 days, 5.86%. That's massive. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty massive. Not too long ago, we were at 100,000 back in December. We dipped as low as 77,000 as of the past 24 hours. In those past 24 hours, we had roughly around $1.35 billion in liquidations, both long and short positions. So why is this happening? Well, it's obviously due to Donald Trump's reciprocal tariff announcements. And if you're not aware and you've been living underneath a rock, pretty much these tariffs are global. It's not just within a specific country such as China. This is globally, okay? That's what reciprocal tariffs are. Now, one of the biggest negotiations that are going on right now is between the US and China. And so people are being affected in both markets, especially in the US. People have been wondering, like, how long is this going to last? And everybody's been pretty scared. I mean, look at this economic policy uncertainty index provided by Bravo's research. We haven't seen uncertainty like this since the COVID pandemic. So I'm going to talk about how this may be very positive and also how it can be very negative for the market in the short term. But before we get there, we got to see who's been affected. I mean, just look at the 500 richest people in the world. They roughly lost $500 billion just in this week alone. Now let's talk about the ongoing negotiations. So if you don't know, China is one of the biggest competitors with the US in terms of tariffs. Now, China responded regarding Donald Trump's tariffs, saying that they're going to increase their tariffs to around 34%, while Donald Trump is actually going to threaten an additional 50% tariff on China if they were able to do that. I mean, look at the stock markets globally because of these reciprocal tariff announcements by Donald Trump. The whole economy around the world has plummeted. In Hong Kong alone, negative 13%, Taiwan, negative 9.6%, China, negative 7%, Germany, negative 6.8%. The whole world is being affected by this announcement by the reciprocal tariffs. In fact, China today has experienced its worst single-day crash since 2008. So this is kind of part of the plan of what Donald Trump is trying to do. And check this out. A lot of countries around the world are in negotiations with the White House. Over 50 countries, for that matter, have actually contacted the White House to negotiate a 0% tariff. That includes India, Israel, Vietnam, Cambodia, and many more. All of a sudden, you hear that the European Union, their president and co-founder, is negotiating perhaps a 0 tariff for industrial goods. That was announced this morning, but shortly after that, believe it or not, the European Union now is proposing a 25% counter tariff. This is part of the plan of what Donald Trump and the White House is trying to do. They're trying to shake up the whole economy around the world. This is kind of the art of the deal. What that has done has pushed Bitcoin's dominance as a result past the 63% level. Now, believe it or not, if this were the case, we can get up as high as 73%, which was the all-time high in the previous bull run for Bitcoin. That was Bitcoin dominance. And then altcoins rallied right after that. So I think perhaps we could maybe get up to the point of 73%. But again, we're still hovering around this resistance level of around 63. We aren't that far up just yet. It could even reach as high as 66%. Now, what you do need to know regarding Bitcoin's price, just because Bitcoin dominance goes up does not mean that Bitcoin's price is going to go up. But right now, Bitcoin is hovering around a $78,000 price point, but I believe it can actually go as low as $73,000. That can happen within the next month or so. But what has not changed is the Bitcoin fundamentals, because as you can see from global business cycles compared to Bitcoin's price, we reached a bottom. So what does that mean? When we reach a bottom in global business cycles, that means we're getting ready for Bitcoin's next rally. When you zoom out, Bitcoin, nothing has changed regarding Bitcoin's price. Bitcoin is still setting higher lows. As you can see, ever since BlackRock announced that they were going to start their Bitcoin ETFs, man, we've only seen Bitcoin form those higher lows. And if you look at the Bitcoin buy and sell zone, this green section is the buy zone. And every single buy zone that you see in this green section, we reach into this yellow section, which is the accumulation phase as well. And then we reach the next section, which is the red zone. That's the sell zone. And if we follow this exact same trend, then we could possibly hit, yes, believe it or not, 150 to almost close to around a 300,000 price point of Bitcoin. Now, there is some rumors that the Federal Reserve is going to have a closed board meeting today. Now, the reason people are thinking that this is happening is because they think they're going to turn on the money printer in order to save this economy from going into a recession within the United States. Now, not to give your hopes up, because I just want to give you the proof of things, just the fact of what's actually going on. This Fed meeting today is an emergency Fed meeting based on what this person is saying, because this Fed meeting that's happening today was actually posted on April 3rd. It didn't just come out of nowhere. This was already scheduled because there are apparently 2 board meetings that happen every month. But the thing is, Polymarket, based on their ratings and based on how people are betting on this, is that the Fed emergency rate cut in 2025 has increased to around 26% instead of 20%. But here's the thing, I want to provide you some real factual data, regardless of what you're seeing behind the scenes or what people are spending on rumors on crypto Twitter. This is what CME Group is saying, that right now in May, they are not expecting roughly around a 65% rate that there's not going to be a Fed rate cut. But what's really interesting, if you look in June, check out June. In June, there's over a 90% chance that they're saying there's going to be a rate cut. So regardless of what you think, okay, if there's going to be a rate cut or not, it may not happen until June, but people are saying it may happen in April, it may happen in May, but CME Group is saying it's not going to happen until June. But other analysts and other people such as JP Morgan, their asset manager, Bob Michel, they're saying that the Federal Reserve may have to cut interest rates before the next meeting in May. So as much as there's a 66% rate of no chance of there being a Fed rate cut, JP Morgan is saying, regardless of what you think, there should be a rate cut, and that means JP Morgan is encouraging the Federal Reserve to do it as soon as possible before May. But this was expected based on what Khaled Talks Crypto said. Remember, global monetary supply, or aka the M2 money supply, has actually dropped down exactly as predicted. We brought this up in last week's video, that this could drop as low as 77,000, and it absolutely did exactly that. Remember also that I mentioned in that video was that we could experience some consolidation and also a stagnation within the month of April. So April, as I mentioned before, could be a very boring month of just trading sideways and nothing happening. In fact, prices could go down, prices could go up. But I think that the price of Bitcoin could go down to around 77,000 to around 73,000, just in my perspective. Then in the beginning of May, that's when we could see possibly a Fed rate cut, but also regardless of Fed rate cut, the global monetary supply, or the M2 money supply, is saying that that's when the bull run happens for Bitcoin's price and for Bitcoin to follow the same trend as the M2 money supply, which would bring Bitcoin's price above 124,000 US dollars by July. But even Arthur Hayes, the founder of BitMEX, believes that by the end of the cycle, it's going to go much higher to around 600,000 possibly. But let's look at Bitcoin's price. Now, you want to know, how much is this liquidation phase or this capitulation going to happen for DOG? I mean, the last capitulation phase, we had around a 13-week phase Now we're looking at a 16-week phase, so just 3 weeks additional, aka a month additional based on the capitulation. But what has not changed is this, believe it or not. Look at this. I have not changed anything about this MACD chart. The histograms and also these bars right here have been sharing with us that there's still weak selling pressure. And that means if we still can see weak selling pressure, that means that there's more buyers than there is sellers, believe it or not, regardless of what you're seeing in terms of the price point or the market cap of dog. And I wanted to just kind of zoom back on all the black swan events in Bitcoin's history. We had Mt. Gox collapse back in February 2014. We had the China ban of Bitcoin, their mining in 2013 through 2021. Then we had the DAO hack of Ethereum that was affected ultimately to Bitcoin's price. That was in June 2016. Then we had the Bitcoin Cash hard fork in August 2017. Then we had the COVID-19 crash back in 2019-2020, which was Black Thursday. Then we had the Terra Luna collapse. Remember that stablecoin? That also affected Bitcoin's price back in May 2022. Then Celsius, Voyager, and Three Arrows Capital bankruptcy back in mid-2022. That was absolutely horrendous. Then we had the FTX collapse back in November 2022. Then the US banking crisis. Remember Silicon Valley Bank, Signature, and Silvergate? They all collapsed. And then you saw Gary Gensler blaming cryptocurrency fraud and Bitcoin back in March of 2023. Then you have in 2025, maybe the reciprocal tariffs. But regardless of all of this, Bitcoin has always formed all-time highs. So I'm telling you, this is the time to buy the dip. Bitcoin at some certain point this cycle is going to surpass 150,000 US dollars this cycle. And right now Bitcoin's price is 77,000. And I share with you right now that dog is definitely going to 150x this cycle as well. So the most important thing is that you need to know is that Bitcoin's going to perform really well, and that ultimately is going to make every other cryptocurrency, especially dog Bitcoin, perform absolutely parabolic. So patience is the most important thing in order to be rewarded. So when you're looking at the price of dog, Bitcoin, and cryptocurrency, the most important thing is that you need to see and zoom out how well has Bitcoin performed regardless of all these black swan events. Well, the thing is, what you need to learn in this video is that you need to expect the worst, and that's how you ultimately win. Because when we expect the worst, we buy these dips because we know what's going to happen when the worst ends. The best things happen. And that's where all the great stories of all the bullshit comes in. When you should have been buying, this is the time where you buy, and that's the time when all those bullish sentiment and all those great articles come out. That's the time when you sell. That's what you need to know in this ultimate video. And that's why you, as a cryptocurrency holder, as a Bitcoin holder, as a dog holder, you must know in this video. And I'm so glad that you watched this. So make sure to tune into our channel every single day by staying up to date on a timely manner, by smashing that like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join our X platform to receive all of our alpha calls and updates regarding the cryptocurrency market, especially Bitcoin, reciprocal tariffs, and dog for that matter. Till then, I'll see you guys girls next time.